Hey, this is Heidi from the blog Hands Occupied with another knitting tutorial for you today. In this video, I'm going to show you how to increase in knitting by working a make one right stitch. To work a make one right stitch or an M1R in knitting, you're going to need to do the following. You need to work in your row until the point where you're ready to work your make one right. So I'm going to work until one stitch before the end of my row. So what I'm going to do next is take the point of my left hand needle and look for, I'm going to stretch out my stitches just a little, and look for this bar of yarn right here that is running between my columns of stitches. So what we need to do with the point of our left hand needle is go from back to front and catch that bar and draw it up onto the left hand needle. Then what we've got to do is insert our right hand needle into that loop, the front of that loop knitwise, so into the front of that loop, which introduced a twist. So it's kind of like a cursive E is happening in this loop that's surrounding our needles right now. And then we finish knitting into that stitch and sweep the loop off of our left hand needle. So now where we had 3 stitches, we have 4 in our row. So we've increased our stitch count in our row by 1 stitch. We have made 1 stitch. In this case, we've made it right leaning, so this stitch leans to the right of the stitch to the left of it. So let me do a wrong side row of purls, and I'll show you once again how to do a make one right stitch. All right, so we're back to the right side of our work, and I'm going to work my row until I'm ready to do my make one right. Let's say we're going to do that right here. So I'm opening my work and I'm going to grab this strand of yarn that runs between my 2 columns of stitches. Again, using the left hand needle, we're going to catch that strand of yarn working from back to front. That's the key for making a make one right leaning stitch, by the way, is to work back to front. And we'll pick up that stitch or that strand and put it on our left hand needle and knit into it knitwise, making our one right leaning stitch. So if you look closely here, you can see that that strand again is a cursive E that leans to the right here. There we go. And now where we started down here with the 3-stitch cast on, there are 5 stitches on my needle. If we look at this swatch I have here where I worked a whole bunch of make one right stitches, you can see that just like in my demonstration yarn, we had our little cast on here, and I kept making 1 stitch that leaned to the right. So you can see that this stitch column is really long, and every other row where we made one right, we've got a couple more stitches coming out in that direction. The opposite increase of a make one right stitch is a make one left. You can also find a tutorial for that on this site. Just search for M1L or make one left. A make one right or M1R comes in very handy in knitting, especially if you're making garments, shawls, or doing any kind of shaping. If you have any questions for us, go ahead and let us know in the comments, and tune in again soon for more knitting tutorials.